Well, hello. Today we are at Cathedral in Downpatrick. Now, what you're looking at is today an Anglican church. This church, Cathedral, has been here since around the 11th or 12th century. Down the years, it's passed through many different religious hands. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually see a grave reported to be the burial place of St. Patrick. Just what you can see in front of the church there is a replica of the Irish Celtic cross dating from the area from around the 11th century. The real one is in a museum in Belfast. And what we're going to do in the Ulster Museum, what we're going to do is we're going to go round the back and we're going to see St. Patrick's grave. Now just as we come up the hill, we're in the town of Downpatrick in County Down. We're on the hill of Down, so we're at the highest point in the town. And you can see here the very, very impressive cathedral in the Church of Ireland is absolutely enormous. There's been this exact cathedral has been here around 1,000 years. It's been restored many times. It's been granted a land grant by John de Courcy. Absolutely enormous, isn't it? But I want to show you the burial ground of St. Patrick here. So we're just coming up around the back. We're going to have a look at it. You can just get a feel for, I've been walking for about 90 seconds or so, and you can just see how big the cathedral is. I'll just show you back again. Absolutely enormous cathedral. We're going to walk over here and see St. Patrick's grave. So, we'll just go up these steps. And we're going to go over here. Now, basically, John de Courcy in the 12th century claimed that he gathered the relics and the bodies of St. Bridget and St. Columba and St. Patrick himself. And he buried St. Patrick and his remains here on the hill of Down in Downpatrick. And let's have a look. Of course, St. Patrick was the Briton, born in the mainland of Great Britain, obviously now the mainland of the United Kingdom, and he was brought over here by raiders into Ireland, and he was miraculously saved and born again, and he returned to Britain, and then he felt the call of God to come back to Ireland to evangelize to the people that had held him in slavery for so many years earlier in his life. And this is, I'll just show that there so you can pause the video if you want to and read that a little bit more. This is where St. Patrick, his remains, have purportedly been buried. St. Patrick, who of course lived and died in the 5th century. His remains were buried here, I believe around 800 years ago. And actually it's underneath this very, very large boulder. And the reason for that is so many pilgrims would come to places like this, the Down Cathedral, and they would come from all around the world and all around the land. Beautiful views. And they held St. Patrick in such regard that they would want to take some of the soil as some kind of a relic, I guess. And that it was such a common practice that around 1900 the people had to put a boulder there and cement and stone over the top to because essentially what they were doing is they were taking so much soil that there was going to be nothing left of the grave. So an interesting story as to why the boulder's here today, to prevent pilgrims coming and taking parts of the grave. So again, this is where St. Patrick is reportedly buried. We're in Downpatrick in Northern Ireland, and it's absolutely wonderful to be here and to see the cathedral and to see the world-renowned place of the burial of St. Patrick. I always find it interesting that St. Patrick is celebrated by drunkenness and revelry, when actually he was a man who was an evangelist who wanted to minister to a people lost for all eternity without God, but he brought them the wonderful news of Jesus Christ, that their souls could be saved and live with God for eternity. And I thought that was a wonderful life given over to that, and that's why he's celebrated today, not because of drunkenness or alcohol or all the other debauchery, but actually because of his Christian witness and winning souls for God. Hope you have a lovely day. Over and out from Down Cathedral and St Patrick's Grave.